Hello, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. This is Fashion for Living and my name was Audra. I'm going to change things up a bit today for this week's video and do what I wore on our Disney cruise. We went on a 3-day cruise or 3-night cruise, and we left from Port Canaveral and we went to the Bahamas and then Castaway Cay, the Disney island, and then back to Florida. And so we had a lot of fun. It was a short cruise, but we all decided we thought it was the perfect amount of time. We had been to Disney World with our kiddos 2 times previously to this, so we were ready for a change, and a cruise was really a nice change of pace. You didn't feel like you had to do everything and see everything. It was really a good time to relax and hang out. So for what I brought, I am a notorious overpacker, and before we left, my husband said, let's only take carry-on. We flew out of Kansas City and we had a layover in Nashville on the way down, and then on to Florida, and then on the way back we had a direct flight. But anyways, we just thought it would be simpler and easier to have all of our luggage carry on and we wouldn't have to mess with checking it. So the biggest challenge for packing for this cruise was when we left Kansas City. It was negative temperatures or single digits. It was very, very cold and snowy. And then of course we were headed to Florida where it was in the 60s and 70s. And it was definitely a challenge trying to think about how I'm going to be warm enough in the airport and getting to the airport and then not have a huge puffer coat or whatever then once we're there. So if you watch this video, you'll see how I managed to work it all out, and I think it worked out great. I was really happy with my outfits. I thought they were very functional but still stylish. But I will share with you now what I brought, my outfits that I wore. There's going to be footage from the cruise, and I'll incorporate a few clips of what we did.
I put all the clothing items that I had thought about taking on this one garment rack, so then it was easy to make outfits and the different shoes that I was thinking about. I just really like to lay everything out so I can all see it, and then I start trying on outfits and I take pictures and think about the shoes and the different ways I can mix and match my pieces to really narrow things down. These pictures are then great to reference once you're actually on the trip. That way you know exactly what you're wearing, exactly what you need to put on, and don't have to fuss with trying to put together an outfit. This is what I wore for our travel day. It was really cold, like I mentioned, so I was worried about being warm, so I really layered up. I have on a tank top underneath a turtleneck, and then over that I have on a denim shirt, which you can't see, and then a long sweater cardigan, and then a sleeveless trench. I really like the way the sleeves looked peeking out of the sleeveless trench, and I thought that might be something I could wear on our cruise. But if you don't like the look of that, you could of course wear a regular trench coat. And then I have a pair of dark wash crop jeans on and just a simple pair of white sneakers. I specifically chose white sneakers for the versatility and their ability to go with any of the outfits that I packed. Lastly, a new purchase for the trip was my crushable or packable Panama hat. It has a UPF of 50 and it was under $20. It has a really cool adjustable string which worked great either to adjust the size or also for tying onto your bag when you didn't feel like wearing it. Here we are on the plane. It was the first time for both of my kiddos for flying, so we made sure and brought lots of coloring books and reading books, and they both did great. Our flight from Kansas City had a layover in Nashville and then on to Orlando, so both flights were like an hour and a half or so. So that was perfect for first-time flyers.
Hurry, Ellie, go, go, go!
Shuttle will be departing momentarily for the terminal. Whether you are class attractions,
Ellie, hang on to a phone.
Both of our kiddos had a carry-on suitcase and a backpack, which they kept their activities for the plane in.
You're one of our 728.
Our cruise did not leave until the next morning, so we spent the night at the Hyatt at the airport. My mom and dad were traveling with us, so we got a little bigger suite than we probably normally would, but it worked out great, and the kids even swam in the pool. We worked with a travel agent and she was no more expensive than booking it ourselves, but since we were going with my parents, we wanted to all be together and she just helped make sure we got all the things that we were looking for. Anyway, she recommended that we take this executive car service. It ended up being cheaper than trying to do an Uber or a taxi, and they had car seats for us. There's the cruise ship. Our driver there was awesome, but our driver back to the airport was a little scary. We about got into a wreck. It was a little less than an hour drive from the airport to the cruise ship. Our travel agent also recommended that we stop at a grocery store to pick up some liquor or any last minute things that we might want to take on the cruise. And I believe you're allowed to take either a 6-pack or 1 bottle of wine per passenger. So of course we each had our limit, and then I also got a big bottle of sunscreen since I couldn't take that in my carry-on bag. Here we are checking in. You went through a similar airport type security where they scanned your bags, and the check-in process was really pretty simple. My son loved that model of the cruise ship. And there you can see how I tied my hat onto my bag, which it absolutely worked great for that. Since we just had carry-on luggage, we opted to keep it with us where most people checked their luggage. But when you went to your room, everybody's luggage was piled up outside their door. So we were happy that we kept our luggage with us. We're on the ship finally. It was around lunchtime and our rooms were not quite ready, so we helped ourselves to a little buffet, a little lunch buffet. The shrimp and the crab was my favorite part of the lunch buffet.
My side's over.
That comes down right here.
Oh.
Hey Dad, can I take my pants off?
Well, if you so desire, then I'm sure you can. I'm gonna come out here and take a look.
I'm gonna take a look too.
As you can tell, the rooms are very small, but not a square inches wasted. There's lots of storage. You can put stuff underneath the bed. We opted for a room with a deck, and I was so thankful. It just helped to make it feel a little less claustrophobic, and you could go out there and watch the water. There was a sink and a tub shower in one little room, and then the next room had a toilet and another sink. So that really helped, again, with being such a small room, to give everybody a little more space. This is what I wore on day 2, that sleeveless trench again, a Mickey Mouse t-shirt with a snakeskin print on it. I absolutely love that. A flannel underneath because it was a little chilly, and then I wore a pair of linen, lightweight black pants, and then my white sneakers. My little crossbody bag is a mini Mac. I kept my passport, ID, any kind of important documents, a lip gloss, and a powder in there, and then I would just slip that into my larger carry-on bag when we were getting on and off the airplane. It really worked out great and was handy to have that separate bag right on me with all my important stuff in it. Back to the little tour of our room. This is the toilet room, which was just so nice to have that separate space.
The closet's nice size. You do?
Why they're not too big? Mama,
There is a shot of the veranda or deck below us. They were a little bigger than ours, and then those yellow things are the lifeboats. Of course, the kids wanted to go swimming as soon as we got on the boat, so here there are going down one of the slides. This is more of the kid-friendly slide. It is right next to the bigger pool. And then if you look to the left there, there's that big clear tube, and that's the big slide that goes around the whole ship. Pretty much the first activity on the cruise ship after everyone gets settled to their room is to go for a safety meeting where you learn about your life jacket and the lifeboats. Heaven forbid you would have to use them. And of course we brought some adult beverages. We are on vacation after all.
You are taking to your assembly station. The Disney Dream smoke detection system is linked to all station phones.
We actually have the right side for this too, don't we?
I believe that we arrived at the cruise ship around noon, and then we were actually starting our departure from the port at 3:30, and we all really enjoyed being able to hang out on the deck and watch everything going on in the harbor and all the boats and people. It was just really interesting, and one of our favorite parts was just hanging out on the deck and watching everything. Everett and Ellie, of course, wanted to squeeze in a little more slide time right before dinner. This is what I wore for dinner night one. I just slightly dressed up what I had on previously. I swapped out the trench for a black boyfriend blazer. I added a turquoise necklace and then some super comfortable espadrille sandals that I got specifically for this trip. They have a really reasonable or lower heel and they were very comfortable. This outfit was super comfortable and dressed up, but not too dressed up, and I was glad I had the extra layers because I was a little chilly at dinner. Our first night we dined at the Royal Palace, and it was probably my most favorite dining experience of the cruise because we were sat right next to a porthole, which gave us an amazing view of the ocean as we had our dinner.
Is it okay?
My husband is getting ready to tell a story about our dining experience. The waiters go out of their way to make sure that you have exactly what you want, and if you get something that you don't like, they'll bring you something else or they'll bring you something extra. It was really a wonderful experience from that aspect, and you have the same wait staff your whole cruise trip. I'd also like to mention, I think overall the food experience was okay. Nothing outstanding, but it was good at the same time. Some dishes were better than others. And you definitely had the opportunity to try a variety of things you might not normally have in your everyday life. There was live music here every evening, and this was the area that all the characters would do the meet and greets, and it was really a great opportunity to meet the different characters with minimal waiting time. I think the most that we waited was 15 minutes, so much better than at the parks. I wish I could figure out how to make this happen at home, but when you got back from dinner, your room was all tidy and picked up, and there was little chocolates waiting for you, and your bed was turned down and made and ready for bed. Day 3 of our trip, day 2 of our cruise, we arrived at Nassau, Bahamas. I failed to get any pictures of breakfast, but it's the typical breakfast buffet. The kids had Mickey Mouse waffles every morning, but again, we enjoyed watching the boat come to dock and just kind of all the activity that's involved with that. This is what I wore for our walkabout of Nassau. We had very mixed emotions about getting off here, but we thought, what the heck, we are here, and none of us had ever been. So it was probably my least favorite part of the trip. You're completely bombarded by people when you're walking into the town, wanting you to buy tours or passes, and it was definitely a little overwhelming. And then there's also people yelling at you that's telling you where to go. So it's a little overwhelming, and but once you got past that, it got a little bit better, and we thought we were okay since we were in a larger group. Back to my outfit, I wore my white sneakers again, a pair of denim shorts, a striped tee, and a flannel, my sun hat, and my shades. We got there first thing in the morning, and it was a little cooler but humid, and it was definitely starting to warm up. We probably only spent less than 2 hours, if that, in Nassau, and then we got back on the boat, and there's my husband and daughter going down the big slide. This is what I wore for dinner night too: a midi pleated skirt, just a striped tee, my black boyfriend blazer again, and I belted that with a leopard belt, and then the same espadrilles. Again, it's comfortable, a little dressed up, but not too dressed up.
Pirates in the Caribbean, welcome all you Disney Dream Islands!
Oh, no pirate's life for me.
Let's go, Ellie. Walk.
Our travel agent had recommended that we try to be first off the ship so you could get a prime spot on the beach. And we were, and it was really fun for the kiddos to be the first people to make tracks on the freshly raked sand. But I don't know that you would have to be the first off. It seemed like people kind of came in waves, even though we stayed out there most of the day. There was plenty of prime spots throughout the day, and the beach is really long, and you never felt crowded. Our day at Castaway Cay, or the Disney Island, was our most favorite part of the cruise. I wore a rash guard and high-waisted swim bottoms. I wore the same swimsuit the whole trip. I didn't really swim that much when we were on the cruise ship, and really the only time I got in the water was at the island. My kiddos and my husband's swimsuits are all from Target, and I will link those below. I had managed to fit Ellie's pedal jumper in her suitcase, and we took it to the island with us, and the only time we felt like using it was when we went down the water slides on the island, which was super fun, but they would not let her use the pedal jumper. That she had to use one of their life jackets. So we kind of heard mixed things about whether or not you need to bring your own life jacket, and I would say you absolutely do not need to bring your own life jacket or even worry about it. The swimming pools on the ship are not very deep. They provided a barbecue type lunch, and of course mixed drinks and water. And then after a full day, we were ready to go back to the ship. And there is provided transportation. There's a little view of that. So that was really nice after a long day on the beach, not to have to walk back to the ship.
Welcome to our beautiful island, Castaway Cay.
Our last night on the cruise, I wore the same espadrille sandals, a seersucker cotton dress, and I belted it again, and then I ended up throwing on my black blazer because I was a little chilly. On our last night, I tried to get everything packed up in our carry-on suitcases as much as possible. We definitely had to do a little creative packing and share amongst us, amongst all of us, to get all of our stuff in our bags. I forgot to mention about seasickness. So the first night, my husband had to take Dramamine. The ship was really rocking. Even some of the people that worked there, I noticed even they were commenting about how much the ship was rocking. But me and the kiddos did just fine. I guess you just never really know who it's going to affect. We took the same car service back to the Orlando airport. Our flight didn't leave until 9 o'clock that night, so we decided to rent a car and spend the day at Disney Springs. It's free to get in there. It's basically a glorified shopping mall with lots of restaurants and different shops. None of us had ever been, and there was a few little activities like this carousel, and there was a train, and my husband and son did a virtual reality thing. But I don't know that I would ever have to go back there again. It's just okay. It ended up being a great way to burn some time until our flight left, though. What I wore for my travel home outfit was almost identical as what I wore on the first day. The same white sneakers, cropped jeans, sleeveless trench, leopard print long cardi. I swapped out the turtleneck for just a plain gray long sleeve t-shirt and the denim shirt for a flannel. I wore my new favorite hat, that Panama hat, and used the same crossbody bag.
Thank you so much for watching. Everything will be listed in the description box as always. There also will be a coordinating blog post with all of this information over on fashionforliving.com. Thank you so much for watching. Do you have any other specific questions about our cruise? I would love to try to help you if you do. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one.